Are you truly living life or merely surviving? Whether you want more time, more love, more money, or whether you want it all, we want to help you get there. The best part? Everything you want lies on the other side of fear and self-doubt. It's time to take the leap with your host, Tiffany Toombs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Tiffany Toombs, and this week I am joined by Samantha Kaplan. Samantha is a New York-based contemporary abstract landscape artist and entrepreneur. After overworking herself and experiencing the trauma from her parents' divorce in her early 20s, she discovered what was truly matters and what was important in life, and that it was actually possible to create this in this world. She's on a mission to show people what they are truly capable of achieving once they decide they are ready to change their lives. She believes that life is truly about helping and supporting each other. I totally agree. And that's ultimately what brings real success to every areas of our life. Within her work, she paints abstract landscape paintings of the energy in nature as a way to celebrate the life and forces that exist on our planet. Her ultimate mission is for her work to radiate light and divine energy in people's homes by capturing the beauty that exists in nature throughout the planet. She hopes that her paintings will help people appreciate the small, beautiful details in life and the beauty our planet has to offer. Through this, she hopes to inspire people to make beautiful change in this world. Thank you so much for joining me, Samantha.
Thank you for having me.
So, tell us a little bit more about what you do, who you are, about your paintings.
Sure. So yeah, I'm Samantha. Actually just recently turned 26. I paint large abstract landscape paintings in nature, and they range between I guess my smallest one that I sold is 17 by 17 inches, and my largest one is 65 by 85 inches. So there's a pretty large scale. But yeah, I believe that we're all pure energy. Everything in this planet is pure energy. And I love to create that within my work, and just because I believe that's what everything is. That's what everything's about. And I don't know, there's something about when you realize that, it's just you just see life differently, and just realize that, yeah, life really is about helping and supporting each other. It's about building real deep quality relationships and really figuring out how can you help someone, and just creating this beautiful reciprocity in life. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
And I talk a lot about how what you surround yourself with and what you focus on is ultimately what becomes your reality. And so,
Sure.
even the artwork that you have in your homes, I walk into some people's offices and they have these angry looking paintings up, and I'm just it totally changes the energy here, and I don't think people realize that. So I'm glad that you're helping people bring that positive energy into their homes.
Yeah, I think that's because really everything is energy, and I know there's a lot of artists that do that, and all the power to them. That is just totally not me. If you saw these angry paintings and you saw me, you'd be like, where's the connection here?
Yeah.
Because I really believe in trying to be that radiate, the person that radiates light into the world. I really think that's my goal in life, and that should be the goal in almost everyone's life, because you could be that light for other people. Just imagine how much better this world would be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what was the point in your life where you decided you needed to take the leap?
So I basically, I pursued art throughout college. I was actually studying costume design as well. And afterwards, I had a few part-time jobs. I kind of made myself a promise that no matter what I did, I was going to stay in the field of art. I didn't know what that looked like, but I just knew that I wanted to be creating and doing something within what I majored in. And so I first taught a paint night. That was definitely not my calling. And then I was teaching these after-school painting programs to these younger kids in elementary school in this private school. That's a half hour for me. And I was doing that for a while. And then I just reached a point where I attended this conference across the country. And that was probably the big moment when I took the leap, because I decided to go to this event, not knowing a single person there, not really knowing what I was getting myself into, and not really having the money to do it, but figuring out, like, just deciding I'm going to do this and figure it out. And I went to that conference, and it was like life-changing, because I really saw the power of meeting so many like-minded people, the power of networking. Because when you're around so many people who think like you and want to contribute to the world like you do, it's so powerful. And then when I came back and returned to my normal life and my part-time job, I was just like, it was really hard for me to still be doing this, because you're in this part-time job where you just feel like you're not living up to your full potential. Like, I felt like I wasn't using any of the gifts I had to offer the world being in that job. And then I was like, and part of me just felt like I wasn't going to reach my full potential until I was out of it. And it ended up happening. My plan was originally to quit, and I ended up losing it before I could quit, because I suffered from anemia, and it got really bad to the point where I wasn't able to function. That affected me for like 2.5 months last year, where I was only able to function for like 2 hours a day, which wasn't great. Yeah. But it was kind of the greatest gift ever, because by losing it, it kind of made me be like, okay, I'm going all in. There's no looking back now, because I wasn't interested in looking for another job. I was interested to figure out how I could do this full time. And by doing that, I've just kind of trusted my intuition, and I've just started networking a lot more, because since I didn't have to worry about this job. And the one thing that was funny, this job was barely any time in the day, but it drained me so much. I would go to work for like 2 hours, and I come home and would like need to go to sleep, because I was just exhausted. But since I didn't have that anymore, I had the energy to actually do things to build my business, like go out and network and meet people, or set up systems to get traffic to my website, or do things that were actually going to propel me towards my growth. And I just started, and when my intuition told me, like, you have to go to this event across the country, I listened. And then the people I met along the way have completely changed my life. My whole group of friends has completely transformed. And from this, I've just built the most beautiful community of people that I never would have met if I hadn't taken the leap.
I love that. Yeah. So art is one of those industries where there's a lot of negative connotations, or even just a lot of negativity. I know growing up, people that I knew who said, I'm going to be an artist one day. It was like, oh, well, you can't make any money from that. Or you have to, there's the whole concept of the starving artist. So I just want you to share if there was any negativity or any backlash towards you deciding to stick to the art field, and how you overcame that. Because I think that kind of rejection or that criticism is what stops a lot of people from taking their own leap. So what was it that you faced, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, of course. I still face it to this day. Like, this whole starving artist thing has got to go, because it's the crazy thing is it's in old school as well. Like, the whole concept of it, that's all people are kind of brought up to think like, yeah, you could do this, but you're probably not going to make money unless you're lucky and you make it. Well, that's no plan. How do you know if you're going to make it? Or that's like, there's no plan. They're basically, you try to make it, and if you don't, like, you're just going to have no money, or you're going to have to leave the field. And to me, that's just BS. I'm like, that doesn't really make sense. And people still, like, I'll meet people and they're like, oh, how do you make money in that? I'm like, well, how do you make money in any business? You go out and network and meet people who like what you do. I mean, it's really that simple. Yeah, the only thing that's a little more challenging with art is that it's more personalized. So there's some people that are going to resonate with what you create, and there's some people that aren't. And that's totally okay. But I think that's like with every other business. Like, there's so many brand specialists, there's so many website designers, there's so many interior designers, artists, like, and you're going to resonate with more, or business coaches, and you're going to resonate with more person versus the other. So I think it's just realizing, like, who are you and what's your niche? And then realizing, like, especially today, there's so many ways to go about building your business. There's so many ways, and it doesn't mean it's easy, but it's worth it. This is what you love doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One thing is, like, when you start, the one beautiful thing is when I started doing this, you start realizing a whole other world of possibilities that you don't realize if you just stay within like your little comfort zone or what you know based on the school you went to. And I think art school is amazing. Like, I would not be the painter that I am today if I didn't go to art school. But there are very limited beliefs. Like, for the longest time when I was in art school, I thought my plan was like, okay, I'm going to graduate with my BFA in drawing and painting. And then I'll work and maybe try to get my work exhibited in galleries, and then I'll pursue my MFA and teach and like have my work in galleries and sell art. And that's what I thought I was going to do, because I thought that was the only thing I could do. And then actually, I don't know if you guys heard of Anne Ray. I didn't end up working with her because I just didn't feel, when I spoke with her over the phone, it just didn't seem like the right person. But I have to thank her because she introduced me the idea of making art as a business. And from that, like, just from that discovery and hearing about her story and what she did, it kind of opened up a world of possibilities to me of what is actually possible and how I can make this into a business and things I need to start doing. And then when you start asking for help or just tell people you want to connect with, people generally want to help you. Like, if you help others, they want to reciprocate.
Absolutely. The universe will always deliver somebody that will help, that will give you back what you've put out into the world, for sure.
Yeah. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a great metaphor for everyone out there. Like, there are so many people that I talk to on a daily basis who, you know, they get rejected, so to speak, or turned down by one person, or one person doesn't like their idea, and all of a sudden they think that no one will. I mean, I've had plenty of clients come into my space who have decided not to work with me, and more so in the beginning, not so much anymore, because I know I've honed my message over time so that I really only attract people now who want to work with me. And the people who aren't ready, they don't even come into my realm, or they don't reach out to me or contact me anymore. So I think everything that you said is such a great metaphor for any area. And if, you know, art being one of those, maybe one of the hardest places to kind of gain traction and set up a business from a societal standpoint and what we're kind of programmed to believe, then if you can do it, I think that shows anybody that they can do it.
Yeah, and one thing you have to realize with rejection, if you look at all the biggest companies or all the biggest names in the world, do you know how many times they were rejected before they actually made it, or before they became a well-known name? Like, for some people, I think with Starbucks, I heard it was like over 220 times, or some crazy number like that. They were rejected that many times. And now there's a Starbucks at like every corner. I don't know where I am, there's a Starbucks everywhere.
Yeah, I think the number is like 223 or something. That's how many banks when I read that stat, that there was like 223 banks that turned down the founder of Starbucks for a loan, I was like, I didn't even know there was that many banks to begin with. Never mind, that somebody settled for that much rejection and just kept going because they believed in their idea so much. And so really it comes down to believing in your art or in your craft, whatever it is that you want to put out into the world.
Or believing in yourself, that you have value to give to the world. And
absolutely.
I think that's what it all starts out, because it could be your work, but I think it's a lot of it is belief in yourself. Because I got rejected plenty of times at art school because you had to apply to get into these programs. I probably got rejected more than anyone else did. But the thing is, I'm one of the few people that's still creating today from the people I graduated with, because I didn't stop. Even when I was rejected, I kept going. I kept applying. I figured if they could make exceptions for me, because I was actually pursuing 2 degrees. I was studying costume design as well. So my time was so split out and very limited. It was really hard for me to just dedicate one time to one thing, which of course I've learned over time, like how to do that. But I kept going and I kept pushing even when I was told no. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm the few people who's now still doing it today. And I think that's the key. You have to decide, how much do you want this? And if you really want it, you'll figure out a way to make it work.
Absolutely. And, that's a great point, that I think the people who things come naturally to, they kind of take it for granted. The people who I just finished reading the book Relentless by Tim Grover, and he talks about in there how, all these people, after they've been drafted into the NBA, they start planning, this $1 million house that they're going to buy, or they go on a shopping spree, or they go and party. Whereas the greats, the ones who really make a difference in the game are the ones who they get drafted. So like Kobe Bryant, for example, he got drafted and then he went in the gym and he said, I've got some work to do,
Yeah.
and was practicing his free throws. So the harder that you have to fight for something, the more obstacles that you have to overcome, I think the more committed you become to whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
And that gives you the staying power to outlast everybody else because you've already overcome all these other things. What's one more challenge?
I know. And I think like it's kind of funny. I'm still really close with one of my art professors from college. And I was talking with her actually when I was battling this anemia. We were just talking about, she was still teaching at the school that time. She was talking about, it was funny how like one student was complaining about how they got an A- versus an A, like some crazy thing like that. And I don't know, something I just was talking to her about, I don't know what that had to do with that, is that like I felt like all those times I was being rejected, it ended up being like it was the universe was testing me to see how much I wanted it. And
Absolutely.
I think that's that happens again and again in all aspects of our lives, because I think we're naturally going to face obstacles. We're naturally going to have people who question what we're doing. And that's okay, as long as you have the support system to people who also believe in you, which is why I think it's so valuable to go to events of like-minded people. But you have to, that's why it's like having the belief in yourself and knowing that this is your purpose, this is your calling in life, or this is your purpose, at least in this moment, because I think our purpose evolves over time. And just believing in that and staying true to that and knowing all this other noise is just noise. And that's it.
Yeah, I love that. So what has been your biggest win so far on your journey?
I think the biggest win has been the community I built, because I think there's very little that can replace that. And I actually started, it was kind of funny. I actually recently just got back from an event that I attended last year as well. Have you heard of the Summit of Greatness with Lewis Howes?
I have. I had a couple friends that were there actually.
Yeah, so I actually just got back a few days ago. It was on Sunday. When I went the first year, I met a good friend, and one thing he mentioned to me, and it was really interesting because I never thought this was why he recently moved to New York a few years ago, was living in the city, and started he bought 2 soccer franchises, and he was just saying like how he just felt like networking was just people, like when people went to network, they were just in it for themselves. And I was like, oh wow, that's really interesting, because I never thought of networking that way. And it just got me thinking. And then the next day, I happened to be watching this video by Chris Winfield, who was talking about how he does these dinners. And in the dinners, he basically go around and ask people, what do you need help with right now? And so I was thinking oh my God, that's the answer. So we started doing these dinners, and I just started reaching out to people that I knew were in the area, or who I met at previous events or conferences. And we started doing these dinners, and we've done them monthly. And through this, we've just built the most beautiful community of like-minded people. And it's like, whenever I go to them, I'm like, this is my family. And it's just these people who are there, who want to be there for each other, who want to support each other. And it's unlike anything else. And the beautiful thing is when you invite people who wouldn't typically go to that event, who are they typically just go to B&I events, and then they decide to come to our dinner, and they just start telling us their life story, and it's wow, no one would ever do that at a B&I event, but it's beautiful that they feel safe enough to do it at our dinners, to just open up about who they are, and then ask for help with whatever it is they need.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
And I think that so many people would find those communities or find bigger wins in their business when they start shifting away from the me focus to the other focused.
Yeah.
One of the things that I focus on with some of the people who come through one of my programs is you have to give value.
Yeah.
And I learned a long time ago, both my fiance and I preach that when you're posting on social media, it should be about adding value to somebody else's life. Give them something before you take. That's what Gary Vee talks about, right? Give, then ask.
Yeah.
And so few people have actually mastered this concept. What I found is that a lot of people think that they're adding value and they're still really just pitching you, but because they don't put the question in or they don't phrase it as the pitch, they think that, oh, well, this is adding value, except you haven't actually given somebody an actionable tip that they can take away. And I would hazard a guess to say that's why your dinners have been so successful, is because it comes from that mentality of, how can I help you? How can I add value to your life before I ask for anything in return?
And I think another thing is we approach it, it's like we're friends first before business. And I think that's so powerful. And whenever I network, that's kind of how I approach it. I'm like, let's become best friends, or let's become great friends. And then let's figure out how we could help each other. Because friends you naturally want to help a close friend before you want to help someone you barely know. It's just, I'm trying to think of the word, but it's just naturally what you want to do. So if you go to an event and just try to connect with people on a personal level, all the rest of the stuff will figure out. It's kind of funny because when you were talking about that, it just reminded me, sometimes I'll go to these just regular networking events and people won't even talk to me. They'll just give me their card. And I'm like, why would I ever hire you if you didn't even have a real conversation with me? Like, I don't understand the concept of that. Like, if we, even if we're a right fit, or if you want me to refer someone to you, have a real conversation with me. Like, let's connect on some level. And then let me figure out how I can help you. Because I think, like, we have to remember we're all human beings and we all basically have the same want and needs in life. They're pretty generalized. Like, of course, we're all unique and have individual needs, but our general human needs are basically the same. We want to be valued. We want to be noticed. We want to be cared for, loved for. So if you could just be a human to someone else, the rest of this, I don't know. I just believe the rest of the stuff will figure itself out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Networking events have totally become like a, how many business cards can I hand out, and not a, hey, like, let's connect and relate. And business is ultimately how well you do in business is ultimately a reflection of how well you connect to other people.
Yeah.
And so I think when people start to recognize that business is really just about relationships and not about handing out business cards.
Yeah.
Not about being in front of the most people. It's about the most genuine and authentic relationships. Then that's really the tipping point of the business.
Yeah, it really is. And I can't tell you like how many times I'll go to events and I'll end up with all these business cards, and I only end up using like referring or taking photos of like one or two to make sure I remember those people, because all the other stuff is just like ends up becoming clutter. So it's like just handing out business cards is not enough. It's like you actually have to build the real relationship with that person and be someone that's memorable, that they want to remember, that they want to reach out to, in order for it to go anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So what would you say is your number one tip for somebody who wants to take the leap, but they're on the fence? They are surrounded by negativity. They don't know, if they'll make it. They have the self-doubt or the fear of failure popping up. What would be your number one tip for those people?
I would say to honestly look within, because I think we have all the answers within us, and we're always asking people for advice, and sometimes that's helpful in certain situations. But at the end of the day, we have to know what we truly want. And I believe if there's a calling inside your heart that you have to do something, and it keeps coming back, that's the universe telling you that you need to do this. And yeah, there's always going to be those negative people, and the reason they're negative is because they're stuck in mediocrity. If they were happy, they wouldn't be negative. Like, no happy person is truly negative, at least not all the time.
Yes, absolutely. I say that to so many people every week. Like, a healthy, healed, empowered, happy person does not go around tearing other people down. That's just not what they do.
To be honest, they don't have time to. Like, they're like so. They have so much to do with their lives, whether it's with their business, with their personal life, with their inner work. I believe a lot of people that are truly happy and successful have done the inner work, and that's why they are where they are. They don't have the time or energy to deal with negativity. At least I don't. And trust me, I still have negativity in my life, not like just from certain family members and this and that. But like, to be honest, over time, you just learn to block it out, because you realize those people are stuck. Or they have such a little view of life because they don't see what's possible for their lives. So they're trying to keep you stuck with them because that's all they know. They don't know what's on the other side because they've never actually been on the other side or reached the other side.
Absolutely. And they're afraid of being left behind.
Yeah, I think that's too. And you have to realize, like, if there's something you truly want to do, then do it, because you have to live with the fact if you live your whole life and just stay in there at that level that everyone else is at, you don't want to like be at the end of your life and be regretting and thinking like, oh, I wish I did this. Like, just do it now. The worst you could do is fall on your face, but you get back up. Like, so many people fall on their face and you just get back up and you're okay. Like, it's totally okay. Like, the most successful people have failed hundreds of times. But they get back up, and that's really the key to life, is just being like, okay, that sucked, but I'm going to keep on going. And then when you keep on going, that's when you have all the wins. That's when you have all the breakthroughs. That's when you meet all the amazing people that change your life in so many beautiful ways.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. So tell people who are listening, where can they find you? Where can they connect with you? Check out your work?
Sure, yeah. So I have my website, so they can check out my work on my website, www.samanthakaplanart.com. I hang out on social media, mostly on Instagram at Samantha Kaplan Art. You could also find me on Facebook at Samantha Kaplan Art. And yeah, you're also welcome to send me an email. It's info@samanthakaplanart.com. But yeah, those are all the places you could find me and reach me.
Awesome. And I'll have all of those links in the show notes for people so that they can find you and connect with you.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me. I just love the way that art can be such a metaphor and is such a metaphor for life. So yeah, I'm glad that you're here.
Totally. Thank you.
Awesome. So for everyone listening, I will be back next week with yet another episode to help you take the leap into living your best life and finding happiness, success, and fulfillment in all areas. If you are listening on iTunes, please make sure that you leave me a review so that we can help inspire more people to live a life of their passion and to take that leap.